on the way. He's not on the way here.
He's on
the way here.
Here. Yeah, he's on the way. Hello, everybody.
Well, they're actually went to Austin today.
Oh, are they?
Send them on a day trip.
All right. Today we get to study Torah for the sake of heaven, for the sake of Israel and all of Jerusalem. We'd like to use the merit of Arnie Full for the class. And we'd like to give our merit in Torah to Stephen King, Abraham Ben Moshe Gillett, Jason Shelton, Linda Flora, Hannah and Samantha Hong, Brandon Walsh. Hey, put it on mute, please. Brooke Gibson, Paul Navarez, Texas Patients of Texas Oncology, Rita Wilson, H.L. and Betty McCuskey, Lola, daughter of Justin Lakeisha Neal, Berea Onestaff, Elise Hagar, Nadine Freeman, Logan Willis, Billy Holt, Charles David, Luke Sutherland, Christopher Bederka, Noel Cardoza, David Douglas, Vicki McLean, Leanne Clemens and family, Tom and Karen Maitland, Sandra Hayes, Carol Tickle, Larry Langberg, Juliet Navarez, Blake Highland, Leila Briscoe, Sam Peake, Yehuda Ben Matai Leah, James Landon, David Jenkins, Jake Suarez, Jim and Joyce Rogers, Sally Talamontes, the Rogers family, Holly Ward, Damien Washington, Carol Scott and family, Rabbi Richmond, Maurice Greenwood, Gracie Bell Linder, Brett Richardson, Brandy Boots, Amanda Elliott, Frank Pollard, Carol's family, Baby Denard, Michelle Magnuson, Jenna Marie, Kimberly Brown, Debbie January, Kim Lively, Cressman Rodriguez, Sandra Hurth, Virgil Williams, Brad Mace, Josh and Olivia Nickerson, Jerry Matlins, Dylan Tickle, Amber Merchant, Terry Thomas, Celinda Sheffield, Louis Gutierrez and family, Aaron Price, Jazri Carroll, Sonia Kinzer, Kathy John, John Michael Christopher Ramos, Dakota Miller, Jean Son of Jock Coates, Nellie Woolick, Tila Abuelo, Miranda Rosas, Lindsay Welch, Naomi Batsimka, Terry King, Ronna Whitlow, Kathleen Graham Walsh, Brandon's family, Mila Rose, Monica Johnson, Ed and Dottie Garrison, Moshe Solovechek, Donna Marie, Farrar Sajid, Benson Ewing, Casey Grubb, Darlene Yance, Debbie Henson, Anita Jones, Jessica Ross, Doug Eldridge, Bryant Welch, Carrie Knott, Salvador Gutierrez and family, Jacob Pensimka, Phoebe Bridges, Max Wagner, son of Marcy Wagner, Elliot Mattlage, Mark Mattlage, Emily Bot Tova, Jackie Cup, Nadine Bot Miriam, Chad Jefferson, Carla Manzanares, Brett Carmen, James Rodgers, Alton Tillman, Elvia Rosas, Brian McComas, John Scott, Jerry Gregory, Sarah Bot Sarah, Sherry Mayer, Dakota Mira, Shelby Williams. And we got one here. Her name is Rachel. Let's see. Where is she? There it is. Her name is Rachel James. Rachel James need a miracle. She says Christians always get miracles and everything from Benny Hinn. Why don't they ever get miracles from Jewish? So I told her I will put her on the prayer list and she's going to get a miracle. I said we see it all the time. Rachel James is going to get her miracle. Ruler of the universe and master of all masters. She asked me why don't Jews ever get miracles? And I said the greatest miracle on earth is the Jews. Is the existence of the Jews for the last 6,000 years. Yeah, they shouldn't be here. I said that's the best proof of the best miracle I can give you. Ruler of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, that you enable us in part of the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor? That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and they should not bring separation between you and us. And may it be your will before you, our God, God of our fathers, as you awaken, prepare our hearts to love and revere you. May you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor, as aroma of sweet incense. And may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you revealed your wisdom to the world, shine. And may their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study, and by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so I'll see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. All right. We're gonna start a series coming up on Yeshu HaNotzri, Jesus of Nazareth. But we're going to do it out of the Torah sources, out of the Talmud and the Midrash and the Gemara and the Agadah and Rav Vali, and it's going to blow you away. It's going to blow you away. The piece starts out, I'll just give y'all how Rav Vali starts out. Now, Rav Vali is the Ramchal's top student. They were contemporaries. He was a physician, and he was the head rabbinate of Rome. So he lived in Rome 101, right? The Gaon of Vilna said he would crawl on his hands and knees to learn at the feet of the Ramchal. And this guy was the Ramchal's top.
He learned at the feet of the
He
Ramchal.
learned at the feet of the Ramchal. Okay,
He did
so
it.
this guy, this is who we learn from all the time. As y'all have heard over the years, Rav Vali is the top guy as far as I'm concerned that my soul connects to and the way I like to teach. So Rav Vali starts out and he says, the wicked one of Nazareth was crucified the day before Shabbat to show the world that all the klipa will be removed before the Messianic era. Mm. And I said, I don't want to hear no more. Wait till next week and we'll start the class. That's how he starts it. That's how he starts it. So today, however, we are going to go into the Talmud. If you have a Talmud, you can go to Avodah Zarah 8A2, and your Talmud will be book number 52. That's how many weeks there are in a year. And but this, so we're going to start in the Mishnah, and then we're going to read into the Gemara, and when we get to the Agadah, that's when I'm going to basically stop. And we are going to study the Agadah from the Ben Ish Hai, who is it Kami? Mm-hmm. Kami, when we were in Israel, we met Kami, and her dad was one of the students of the Ben Ish Hai.
And her mom was scribe.
And she was a scribe. So we're going to tie this all in, and we're going to see what the Ben Ish Hai says about Christmas. But we're going to view Christmas from the Mishnah and the Torah perspective out of the Talmud. The Mishnah says, pagan festivals fall into two categories. Festivals that are major religious of national significance, occasions marked by personal milestones in their lives and individuals. The Mishnah proceeds to enumerate major and minor festivals of the Roman era and distinguishes between the restrictions that apply to each category. These are the pagan festivals of idol worshippers that are subject to 3 business day restrictions discussed in the previous Mishnah. The previous Mishnah says Jews do not do business with Christians 3 days, but really kind of a before and after any pagan festival, so that if they were to get a good deal, they wouldn't say, thank you, Jesus. They couldn't praise their God. You see? Because they don't want them to get any praise to their God during their festival time. So that's why the Jews do not do commerce with Christians during that time. That's the previous Mishnah. Kalinda and Saturnalia and Cratism. We're going to deal with Kalinda and Saturnalia today. That's where we get our term calendar from Kalinda. And Genusea days and the days of their emperors. The emperor's birthdays. So in other words, all their feasts fall around one of their birthdays, right? As is well known, so many pagan idols and deities were born on the 25th, and there's a very good reason why. Very good reason why. And we're going to go into it all the way, all right? And the day of their deaths. These are the words of Rebbe Meir. And the last case is disputed, but the sages say any death for an emperor, which is accompanied by the burning of the emperor's personal possessions, is accompanied by idolatry. The pagans worship their deities on the days, and thus a festival on which business is with them is forbidden 3 days before. However, any death which is not accompanied by the burning or emperor's personal possession is not accompanied by idolatry. The celebrations mentioned until this point regarded major pagan holidays, therefore commercial transactions, blah, 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 with festivals. The mission now proceeds to go into the minor pagan holidays, which banned against commercial transactions is somewhat relaxed. However, in regard to the day of the shaving of a pagan's beard, or trees of hair, or the day he returns from the sea, or the day he was released from prison, or regarding an idolater who made a banquet for his son, a celebration of his son's marriage, is forbidden to deal with them only on that day itself. They don't want to. When they come out of prison, you don't want to deal with them. So they say, "Thank God you did. Thank Jesus you did this for me." Oh Jesus, thank you. You see, you guard against all these certain things. The Gemara identifies the festivals of Kalinda and Saturnalia. Rav Haina Bar Rava said, the festival of Kalinda is celebrated for 8 consecutive days following the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year. So this is the 8 days from Christmas to New Year's. Okay, this is well known. Whereas Saturnalia is celebrated the 8 consecutive days preceding the winter solstice. So you have 8 going forward and 8 going backwards. So they're using the winter solstice as a peg, and you're looking this way and you're looking that way.
So
All right?
8 shrinking days and 8 growing days.
Yeah, because it's going to get the darkest and then it's going to get the lightest. Okay? And your mnemonic to remember which festival precedes the solstice and which succeeds is in the verse, latter and earlier you formed me. Psalm 139:5. Front and back you made me. Okay? Front and back you made me. Latter and former you made me. Because their festivals are structured like this, it is proof of this piece in Psalms that says, latter and former you made me. So now we're going to have to dig in a little more and see why they're bringing this to the proof text. The Gemara cites a brisa that traces the historical background of the Kalinda and Saturnalia festivals. The rabbis taught in a brisa, when Adam, the first man, experienced the first winter of creation, he saw the duration of each successive daytime gradually decreasing. He said, woe is me. Perhaps because I have sinned, it is becoming darkened in the world for me. And the world is returning to a state of astonishingly empty. Tohu. So here's what happened. Adam sinned, right? The head, all right? And just like us, you can walk out in your yard today and there's no leaves on the trees. The grass is dead. We're in a time of death. All right?
Our trees is even dying.
Yeah. Everything is dying. And so as everything is dying and the days get really short. I mean, you look up at, and then boom, it's dark, And so Adam knew that he had brought death onto the world. The light was shrinking. Okay? And so this is the whole Hanukkah story. Now, so what we're going to do is we're going to study Kalinda and Saturnalia, and then we're going to lay Hanukkah on top of it. All right? So you're going to see where Hanukkah comes from. Hanukkah was the first feast ever done.
Yay!
All right? Ever.
Wrong one.
Yeah, Purim. but they're connected, so
Okay, yeah.
okay, it works.
Which
So-
depends on where you're at.
It depends on where you're at. So here's the thing. Purim is the feast that goes on forever. But what about Hanukkah?
Does too.
It does too,
Yeah.
because it's Netzach and Hod they're half of each other.
Yeah.
So Purim and Hanukkah go on forever. So the feast that have come out the farthest, what falls the lowest? The highest. You see? Now, there's front and back you made me.
Right.
So the winter feast are female or male or whatever, and the spring feast are female. All right, so you have male and female feast. You have 6 months over here, 6 months over here. 6 is Yesod, 6 is Yesod. 2 halves of one thing, we now have a completion. So front and back you made me. So that's why some people say, so the Torah says, Oh, the first of the year, it's over here in Tishri. Oh, the first year, it's over here in Nisan. You know, oh no, the first of the year is over here in Rosh Hashanah. Oh no, the first of the year is over here by Passover. Why? One's male, one's female.
First of what year?
Front and back you made me. Are you looking at it from the Hasidim side? Or are you looking at it from the Guvarot side? So if that exists in Judaism, guess what? It exists in every religion. Yin and yang. All right? So let's go forward. And so everything was going to go to Tohu. And this is the form that death sentence decreed upon me from heaven will take. So at the very end of fall, when the days are at the shortest, Adam arose and engaged in fasting and prayer for 8 days. That's the first 8 days. However, once he experienced this winter solstice, he saw the duration of each daytime gradually and started to increase. And he said, it is the natural course of the world for the days to lengthen and shorten in regular cycles. In Thanksgiving, he went and established 8 days of festivals. The following year, he established these days and the days preceding the winter solstice and those, i.e. the days following the winter solstice, as festival days. The Brisa adds, so see, he's doing a 6 days, 8 days of fasting before, and then on the winter solstice, he's doing 8 days of partying. All right? 8 days of festival. Okay? And what do they have on the backside? 12 days of Christmas. Because they have to have Yesod 6 and 6. Why is Adam doing 8 and 8? Hanukkah is the zoom out reason, but why is he doing 8 and 8? Because in Genesis 36, the 8th king is Mahetabel and Hadar. The light of Ma is 8. He is Berudim. He is the Tikkun. So he is going to do 8. And he's Ma. And what happens after a Jewish child is born on the 8th day?
Circumcision.
And we're going to find out why. Nobody's ever went here on this. I know because I went over it today with Rabbi Baxton. It is new Torah. All right. So here's the deal. Onward. We're going to have some new Torah here tonight. We didn't add to the Torah. We just figured some Torah out.
It's not made up.
It's not made up. It's just a deeper understanding.
Yeah.
The Brisa adds that although these festivals were originally established with good intentions, they were later corrupted. He, Adam, established them for the sake of heaven. But the idolaters of the future generation adopted these festivals and established them for the sake of idolatry. In the event, it is evident from the Brisa that Adam first saw the duration of daytime diminish and subsequently saw it increase. Thus the Gemara asks. This Brisa is well understood according to the one who says that the world was created in the month of Tishri. For Adam, to this point, had seen only short days of winter and had not yet seen the long days of summer. He therefore was alarmed. He had experienced these very short days prior to the winter solstice. But according to the one who says the world was created in Nisan, see what they're doing there? Hasidim and Guvarot. One says, oh no, it was Tishri. Oh no, it was Nisan. Adam had already seen both the short and long days. Then he was concerned that the winter. Then he was concerned as the winter solstice. Why was he concerned as the winter solstice approached? The Gemara answers. Although he had experienced the short days, he had never seen the days that were as short as those immediately preceding the winter solstice. A similar brisa, rabbis taught, on the day that Adam, the first man, was created, once he saw the sun set before him, he said, woe is to me. What did they just do there? One view is zooming out and saying he saw the entire year. One is zooming in and says, no, on the day he was created, he saw it getting shorter. because it's all happening on that day. The entirety of the year happens on the sixth day for everybody. See, when you look outside and you see the trees dying, the leaves falling off, and the grass dying, and you see the days getting shorter, guess what? Adam, this is happening in Adam's now. It's not that this happened to Adam 6,000 years ago. It's happening every single year. You are experiencing exactly what Adam is experiencing on the sixth day every single year. See, because it has spread out over 365 days, because of Enoch, and Enoch walked with God for 365 days and was taken, Adam put a limit on it. So it can't go past 365. So the day Adam died is the day every person dies. Now, you may die in December or you may die in May, but that's zooming out and looking at the calendar. You put it all together, it's just one day. Mm-hmm. You see, it all happens at that moment. And here's the truth of the matter. Every person dies on the same day, at the same time. Because in 4D, there is no time.
There's no days.
And there is no days. There's only day. All right? So here's the secret of the matter. Before Adam was created, there was no time, there was no day, there was no night. Mm-hmm. So only and God made the sun. God made the light, and He said it was good, right? And He called it day and night. The constellations, sun and moon, hadn't even been made. So if you're talking day and night, you're not talking sun and moon. You're talking a whole different thing. You're talking front side and back side. And as we've seen through our study of Noah, that whole piece of studying Noah is happening in Adam's now. They can't tell the story of, well, all this went on in the garden. No, we're going to tell the story of what happened in the garden. Then we're going to zoom in and we're going to expand through the left side and see Cain and Abel. Then we're going to zoom in on the right leg and we're going to see Adam to Noah. It's all happening right then. Because when Adam gets kicked out of the garden, that's called Noah leaves the ark. Because that is one Adam. That's one Adam Partsuf. You see? You just looked into Adam and saw Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah. See?
The question is which Adam?
The question is which. Is it Harishon or is it Kadmon? All right? So when you're studying Harishon, the first Adam, why do they call him the first Adam? Adam Kadmon's the first Adam. Because he's the first name in the line of the 10 of the Partsufim. And so what we're going to see as we get into this is there was no sun. And so what does Adam see? The birth of the sun. It starts getting brighter. And Malachi 4:2 says, the Son of Righteousness. What do Christians say? Oh, that's Jesus. And it says S-U-N. And what do? Go on the internet and Google it. They'll say S-O-N every time. No, it says S-U-N because it was the sun that started getting bright. Literally the sun. All right? So what does it say in Zechariah 14? It says, and on that day, Mashiach, when his feet hits the Mount of Olives, and it splits from the east and the west, and it goes from the north to the mountains of the south, and it covers the whole earth. It says, on that day, it will not be day nor night. Why? Because it never was day nor night. It's going back to the beginning, you see. So the day and night in the winter solstice has everything to do with time. Adam is mapping out time with the winter solstice here. You see what's going on. And so Avodah Zoa, remember at Rosh Hashanah we read in Avodah Zoa when you're sitting in your sukkah and it's going to get so hot for the nations because he unleashes the sheath of the sun. You see, it's not S-O-N, it is S-U-N because the sun is Zah and the moon is the Nukva. So right here in this piece where Adam, this whole thing about the winter solstice is the whole thing about how time is being created. and the seasons are being created, and the male aspects of the feast and the female aspects of the feast. And what are the pagans going to do? They're going to take it and say, this is when our God was born too. All of them do it. And over at Passover, when everything gets renewed, what are they going to, when everything, oh, this is our death of our God too. This is the death too. So, you know, the Hebrews had to basically kill the backside. Well, they're saying, well, you know, it killed our God. Well, it did. That's the Lamb of God that they killed, and it's got to kill their God. They're saying what it is, you know, because it is following the pagan roots. All right.
Yeah.
Back into the deal here. Where was he at? All right. Woe to me, because I have sinned and have darkened the world, and it will turn to tohu. And this then is the form that death sentence decreed upon the heavens will take. So Adam engaged in fasting and wept the entire night, and Eve opposite him. Well, I thought it was 8 days. And Eve opposite him. You see, the first one is saying 8 and 8. Front and back, you made me. Mm-hmm. One is Eve, one is Adam. The second time they bring the exact same story to us, it was only 1 day, and she wept opposite him. You see how they just zoomed it in and made front and back, you formed me? Mm-hmm. They gazed in fashion, wept in turn, blah, blah, blah. Once, however, the light of day rose, he said, it is merely the natural course of the world. And thanksgiving, he arose and he sacrificed an ox whose horns had preceded its hooves. Wonder what that is.
I wondered that.
His horns had preceded his hooves. His horns grew to completion before his feet even manifested in the animal. So what kind of an animal has a horn but no feet?
Sperm whale.
Is that not right?
All right. Good answer.
Way to go, Russell. But it was called an ox.
Okay.
It was an ox whose horns had preceded its hooves. Well, that just doesn't make any sense. And here's the secret to reading Talmud and reading Gemara. If you don't know what they're talking about, you're going to make up unicorns. This is where the unicorn myth comes from. Okay?
But this is a horns without a hoof is an ox.
It's an ox.
Okay.
That has horns that preceded its hooves. Most cattle, they got feet. And then as they get older, they grow horns.
Right.
Not this animal. He had a horn and no feet yet.
Okay.
And Adam sacrificed him.
Okay.
All right? Because that's what you do with something like that. Right?
Yes. When I run across what I'm doing.
As it is stated, I shall praise the name of God with song, and I shall magnify it with thanksgiving, and this praise should be more pleasing before Hashem than the shore of the ox, the par of the bull, horned and hooved. Another exposition based on the verse goes like this. I'm going to read all of it, and then we're going to figure it out.
Are we going to know what the hooves and the horns
We're going to know what the hooves and the horns are.
And
it's going to be so self-explanatory.
I like it when it happens.
And Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, the ox that Adam, the first man, offered to Hashem as a sacrifice, he had a single horn on its forehead, for it said regarding the sacrifice, and this praise should be more pleasing before Hashem than the ox, horned and hooved. The Gemara asks in wonderment. That's when we get into the Agadata. To the contrary, The term horned implies that Adam's bull had 2 horns.
Horned.
But how does Rav Yehuda adduce the phrase as proof that it only had a single horn? The Gemara answers. Rav Nachman bar Yitzhak said, although the vowelation of the verse is makrin, horned, the letters that are written lend themselves to the reading makarin, which means a horn, which indicates that this ox posed a single horn. Now, do y'all remember the story that I read about the death of Moses that I can't get through when I read it? Mm-hmm. And you remember he was sitting down writing the Shem HaMifaresh, and the death angel came up to him, drew his sword, and Moses grabbed his staff with the Shem HaMifaresh and said he was going to remove his makarin. He was going to remove his horn from the middle of his head. All right? He was going to remove the horn from the middle of his head because it was on the Shem HaMifaresh, which is on the dot, which is the Yod-Heh Wah-Heh, which is the name of Da'at, the Yud-Heh Vav-Heh of Da'at. Mm-hmm. But Moshe has a Shem HaMifaresh on his staff. Mm-hmm. Listen to me. Staff, horn, ox.
Yesod?
Oh, very good. Very good. Female, male, staff, horn, ox. You see where the story's going? Now it doesn't have any feet, does it, Russell? A yesod doesn't have any feet. So what kind of animal are they talking about here? Let's ask the Ben Ish Hai. So Moshe pursued this death angel and removed his horn, called the horn of Hod, because your feet descend to death. And death is known as Daveh, is in Hebrew is called Daveh. Daveh backwards. If you take Daveh and interchange the letters, it spells Hod. From her feet descend to death. Okay? So the death angel was trying to kill Moses. What did he do? He removed the death yesod from him with the Shem HaMifaresh. And how did he know how to do that? There's a guy named Noah. And Noah had a son named Ham. And Ham is on the left side. He's Hod. Shem is on the right side. He's Netzach. And Japheth is in the middle. And Noah is the Yesod himself, down to the Malchut. This is the name of Adam's Yesod. So what did the death angel do to Adam? He cut his Hod off. The Nakash comes from the side of the left. He brought death to the world through Hod. And Adam had to remove Hod. See what's going on? And so what happened? How does the story go? What did Ham do to Noah?
Castrated him.
He castrated him. Which side did he castrate? He castrated the left side. But what does that come to teach us? That Adam removed Ham from his Yesod so that all of the children would come from the line of Shem and Japheth, and the righteous would come from the name Shem. And Noah knew it. And so what did Noah do? He cursed Ham. What is that? That's the backside. Don't think of it as a lineage. He's making it front and back. He's cursing the backside. So now we know, when we get to our Noah story, what's going on with Noah and Ham. because that happened in the garden at that moment. We can only read it later when we get to Parsha Noah, because there is no time when you're reading Torah. Genesis 36 is before Genesis 6. You see,
Well, isn't that just another part of the story of the garden?
it's another part of the story of the garden.
At this point, yeah.
So the Ben Ish Hai says this horn comes from the Etz Chaim, the tree of life. It's the root of Yesod, and it's attached between Netzach and Hod. It has no feet. It's a tower. It's called an Aver Migdal. It is a floating tower in the air. What do we know about a horn? They call it a horn, but it's called an Aver Migdal. Where have we studied that there's a floating tower in the air? The Tower of Babel. That's the backside's horn. Moses dealt with the backside horn. God had to come down, Adam had to come down and deal with the backside horn at the Tower of Babel. Mm-hmm. Okay? Who made a floating tower over the ocean?
Chaim.
Hiram. Hiram. He's the Yesod of Solomon. Mm-hmm. He made the 7 inner chambers. That's called a floating tower. So now we can start plugging all the pieces in, now that we know the Ben Ish Hai. So what is this? It's called a Para Migdal Avar, a living limb. Mm-hmm. Abraham's name is Avraham, Avraham, a living limb. So who got the covenant of circumcision? He's the living limb. He's the one horn. What did he see in the bush? The ram with a horn stuck in the bush. See how the story iterates unto itself. So, what is the secret of Noah's ark? It's a great circumcision. Because the Midrash says that when Adam fell, he ruined his foreskin. A foreskin formed over him. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. So what is Noah's ark?
Foreskin?
Adam cut his own foreskin off. That's the removal of 4D klipa. Because Noah's ark, the whole story of Noah is you sowed Adam. So that whole circumcision is cutting off the den of the backside, which we'll get into, and the name of them is the Nephilim. And Nephilim and Saturnalia and Kalinda, it's all the same thing. And Nimrod and Pharaoh and Yeshu, it's all the same thing. There's only front and back. You made me. All right? The language for Aver Chai is called a tower. Migdal Oz, spelled with an ayin, not like ooze, from the word Azza, Azazel, and Azza. So the name of the klipa of Israel is Gaza. And the force that's called in Gaza is called Hamas. Hamas is the name of the backside klipa, and it's still that way today from Parsha Noach. So this is called literally the Tower of Power. Mm. This is coming from the Ben Ish Hai. This is suspended between the power of light of Netzach and Hod coming from the Da'at. If there is no Da'at, there is no elevation, i.e., there is no erection without Da'at.
Well, that's Yesod, which is elevated Da'at.
Messiah ben Joseph, Messiah ben David. Mm-hmm. This koach that comes down is called light, also called air. Therefore, to ox, the ox that Adam offered was the tikkun of everything. The tikkun begins with one horn in the forehead. Yesod of Da'at. And what happens? It falls. So Adam knew that the tikkun of everything needed to be done on Yesod. And it's called an ox, a one-horned ox. That is suspended, what's considered in the air, because it's not attached to Netzach and Hod. It's kind of suspended in the middle, right? So they call it suspended in the air, which is from like the animal. It's like an animal. It has a life of its own. The elevation of the Brit at the time of the Zivug was to let you know that the mission of Adam is only Tikkun Yesod. That's his whole mission. All we do on this planet is fix Yesod. Everything's a Brit. The B'nai Noach laws are a Brit. Walking between the pieces was a Brit. Sinai was a Brit. The New Covenant, it's a Brit. Everything is a Brit. Everything is a cutting and a removal of Yesod. A tzaddik is Yesod. What are the holistic things for Yesod on the earth? They eat rhino horn and reindeer horn. It's all about eating a horn. It's aphrodisiac, a male enhancement, so to speak. Where does it come from? Right here. This brilliantly alludes to, because Joseph is called the ox. Joseph is the ox and the righteous Yesod that floats in the air.
Which is the whole thing. It's Mashiach ben Yosef.
Which is the whole thing of Mashiach ben Yosef. So, on the 8th day, if you look in any Catholic liturgy, is the day Jesus got circumcised. Why? Because what did Adam HaRishon do? When the klipa covered him, he cut it off on New Year's Day. And that is the secret of the entire matter of what the one-horned animal is. So unless you know what you're supposed to know, you can read the Talmud all you want to, and you will never know anything. Because it is never talking about what you think it's talking about. It is all about what it is saying, not what it says. And Brandon, if you'll start that one, we'll.
Well, now you got one. You opened up a question.
Okay, all right, just leave it on. Go ahead.
You're gonna have to go into the limb of a living animal now.
Now, so what happens? The only Noahide law that comes past Parsha Noach, where the Yesod passes through Atzilut to Bia, is limb of a living animal.
Right.
Okay, so why does he call it an ox? Because the Ramdu says that the animals are only the limbs of Adam.
Right.
So what did he put in the Malchut in the ark? The animals.
Right.
You see? And so the only Noahide law past that is limb of a living animal, which is the secret of this whole matter.
So this eating the limb of a living animal is
that is a wicked Yesod aspect. You don't from clean language. Spilling seed in a wrong manner is the actual eating a limb of a living animal. Now there's 70 levels of knowing what eating a limb of a living animal is. As you well know.
Yeah.
Okay? Let the Peshat stand on its own. But you have to marry the Peshat with the Sod.
Right.
And what have we seen in 3D over the past few years? Cialis, Viagra, what's happening? Yesods are getting fixed.
Yeah.
It's the Tikkun of Adam. This is what he's doing. It was an accident. They figured it out. That's why everything is about circumcision. Everything. Because the only thing here of Adam is Yesod. That's it. That's it. And it all has to do with what happened at Saturnalia there. Oh, okay, so why does... Yeah, I think I got some more. Look at dude. So, if we look at Avodah 8, there are festivals. These are talking about festivals of idolatry. So, why, there's a huge kasha question. Why do we have in the Mishnah, they list Kalinda first, and then Saturnalia, which is completely out of order? Why didn't they say Saturnalia and then Kalinda? Because they talk about Kalinda, and then they come back and they talk about Saturnalia. Well, why did you do that? It's to let you know they're going in the backside. They're going from the backside in. They're letting you know that I made you front and back, so we're starting on the back, and then we're going to the front. So that's why the entire Roman calendar of 2018 or 19 is completely pagan. Verses 5778, 5778. You see? And all the feasts and everything we do in America is completely pagan. Everything. Versus down to our calendar.
It's Esau.
It's Esau. That's right. Down to our own calendar. You know, I mean, if you tell somebody, well, today is December the 27th, 2018. That's a pagan date. It don't even exist. You see, in actuality, and so, but why did Hashem make this way? So the klipa could perceive the fruit. I made you back and front. That's why we talk about Cain before we talk about the descendants of Adam. That's why we talk about all the Esau before we talk about Jacob. That's why we talk about Kalinda before we talk about Hanukkah. So what's the secret of Hanukkah? What did Adam restore? Adam didn't restore anything. What did he start? He's the Kohen Gadol.
He started the new light of Mall.
He is the new light of Mall. He did the first sacrifice. Right? He killed this first animal. Let's say he sacrificed his first animal. So he started the priesthood. What do the Maccabees do at Hanukkah?
They reestablished.
Reestablished the priesthood. You see how it's following? And so what did he see at the winter solstice? He saw the light getting longer for 8 days. What do we do with the menorah? We see the light getting longer for 8 days. So if you say that it's only a rabbinic law, you're lying. It's an Adamic law. It's 4D. Talmud,
so much more.
Hanukkah, and Purim are 4D. And so he made you back in front. So we have the light over here that's with Hanukkah, and the wine over here with Purim. But the wine is supposed to be with Hod, which is Hanukkah, and the light is supposed to be with Purim. Why? God made it back and forward, but guess what did he do? He switched the things and mitigated it and fixed them.
Were they face to face now?
And now they're face to face. And so Hasidim and Guvarot, male and female, the light, the wine, the whole thing, the union. Mm-hmm. See, that's what goes on forever. And ever and ever. Because those other ones go into those two. You see? Because that's where all life comes from. Through Yesod. And through Netzach and Hod. Mm-hmm. And that is the union of Zah and Nook. And then that's going to be elevated up. And that's what goes on forever. That's why those two feasts continue. It doesn't say Hod. But Hod's completely implied if you know the Sugya. Yeah. You know? It's a part of it.
It's saying his life goes on forever.
It goes on forever. Let's see if I got anything else. Okay, so how do these feasts perpetuate to the other nations of the world? We see what Adam did, but how did this separation of Zah and Nook, Adam and Hava, how did that manifest to where the other nations now grabbed a hold of that light and said, no, these are our feasts. You know, they're going to be Christmas and this.
How they perverted them.
How did it happen? Here's the Kabbalah. Here's the Kabbalah of the matter. The backside of Yesod of Tiferet is Lesser Metatron. So the backside of Lesser Metatron is Yeshu HaNotzri. We're going to call that Yeshu Sar HaPanim.
So that's the backside of Tiferet, hold of Tiferet.
The backside of Tiferet is Lesser Metatron. Okay? This is going to be what's known as Yeshu Sar HaPanim. Now, not a lot of people know what that is, but it's in some of the oldest Sidurs for Rosh Hashanah and the blast of the shofar and the staccato blast. They always say, remember Yeshu Sar HaPanim. And everybody's like, all the messages are like, see, this is what Jesus is in there. See right here. No, it's a 9 blast. You're getting rid of the backside. You're blowing it up. We know exactly why it's in there.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. It's unique that it was given to Esau and to Ishmael. Because the klipa of Ishmael and Esau received their sustenance through the hug of the da'at of Adam HaRishon. Know that the blemish of Adam HaRishon was because of him that the world was destroyed. But it was the separation that caused it, no doubt. The separation took place in the mochin of Zah, in the mind of Zeranpin, the brain. However, not in Hokman Bina of Zah, which is never separated. So even in the lesser, Hokman Bina of the lesser is never separated. Only in the backside of Da'at, where the separation can occur.
But this is a different lesser on the backside,
Yes.
correct? It's not the backside as in relation to, or lesser as in relationship to another one on the front side. We're talking about the backside.
That's correct.
It's all klipa.
It's all klipa. Right. But it's drawing its sustenance from the front side, lesser Zah. It's got to get its power from somewhere.
Well, it has to get its life
Okay.
from the front side. Or
And so when did it get its power? When God put Adam to sleep, Zah, and separated Adam and Hava. I made you front and back, okay? And when this separation, that's when the energy leaked out, okay? And it attaches itself to the backside panim, which is called Yeshu, okay? It's all backside.
that's the residue of that energy, right?
It's the residue of that energy, yeah. Okay. It's like an atomic bomb. And there's
just fallout.
There's radiation still there,
right?
Because we're dealing with the splitting of a name of God here. All right, the Shem HaMefaresh of the light of Ma into 26 and 19. So when you take that atomic energy, there's going to be fallout, and the backside is going to catch it. Which aspects of the backside? Ishmael and Esau. Mm-hmm. Okay. Without this, the world would not exist for a single moment. This you must know. It is only the mochin of Da'at of Zah. Because the foundations of the world is here. When they are separated, the virus gets in and it is strengthened. This is what happens to us. Then the Guvurot, so once the Hasidim is contaminated, then the Guvurot goes even further below. This gives birth to Ishmael, or the right side of the backside, called the Hesed of the backside. Then it goes further down to Esau. And because Esau is even lower on the backside of the Guvurot, it gives it even more strength. This is why America dominates the world. This makes the two great nations. And this is the secret of abusing the holiness on the right side and on the left side. Muhammad and Yeshu, they both pick their backside God, and they both kill in the name of that God,
Mm-hmm.
And so, the reason we're over there is because, we got to protect the Christians, and the reason they're over here is we got to protect the Muslims, and, and the one thing they both have in common is they damn sure want to kill the Jews. History has shown it, and if the Christians say not, then why did they destroy the Second Temple? So, case closed. So, anyway, what else? I believe that about covers Christmas. How long have we gone there? I tell you what, we've gone about an hour.
Yeah.
So next week we will pick back up with the Nephilim, and you're going to see. Just give you a little prelude to the Nephilim. See, we think the Nephilim happen later on down the line. All right, in the time of Noah, but remember, take all of that Noah, stick it in the garden. Take all of the Nephilim, stick it in the garden. All right? It's all happening at the same time. God just had to write the story so we could zoom in and see an account. But because the Nephilim are Uzzah and Azza, all right? And so they have union, and then they have the Gibborim, and these have things there called Sam and Lil. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and so all of that same system is going on in the backside of the Guvurot on in the darkness, right? Mm-hmm. And so everything that's going, and Cain and Abel and all that stuff, Abel got caught in it. Mm-hmm. And so everything that's going on the front side is coming down through Enosh and Enoch. That's why Enoch's an angel, and that's why Methuselah's an angel, because it's in the garden, and it's literally all happening in one big revolution at one moment. All right? Only when the Malchut of Adam, which is called Noah, that's his pet name, okay? Mm-hmm. He called it Noah. When that goes out of that reality of Atzilut into Berea, does it actually start forming what we would consider as real people like us, all right? But if you read the stories of Abraham, Abraham's talking with angels and feeding them, and they're eating.
Because that's Tavuna, and it fell out.
Yeah, they're still not even people like us on our level.
Oh no.
Okay, only when you get down to the very bottom level, to where we are, is it even close to being humans like us. So mm-hmm. those stories take place on such a high level, even spirit, not only physical planes, but spiritual planes, mm-hmm. So everything that's going on in the world, everything that's going on in pretty much in Genesis is really emanation. And then they fall down all the way, because you got emanation, creation, formation, and completion, right? So we're getting to look into the mind of God all the way from the garden all the way to Noah. It's just one thing. And then we're going to look at the next ring right below that, and then we look at the next ring, and then we look at David, and it's just getting, and it's concretizing further and further and further. And after the second temple was destroyed, the second temple is the Malchut of right here, and the first temple is Malchut up here at Ema. That's why Solomon shel Mas from Adam, and that's why his mother Bathsheba, the daughter of seven, that's why she's always in the Holy of Holies with him. What's she doing in there with his wife? Because it's really high up. It went down and they took it back up. That's why Solomon has no Peshat. And then Hiram, boom, made it fall all the way back out again and then it's fallen for the last 2,000 years. That's why it's called the footsteps of Messiah, because it went from Yesod at 2,000 years was Yesod of Adam, was the last piece. And now it's fallen out. So this is why everything since the last 2,000 years is rabbinics. Because the Torah, the body of Adam was the Torah. But the head of Adam, which we call, say, Atzilut, the head of Adam is going to go, is pretty much like Genesis, till you get down.
You think it's Torah A?
It's Torah A. It's pure Torah A. So Genesis 26:5, and Abraham obeyed the voice of God, followed all his statutes, ordinances, commandments, and laws.
Torah A.
And it's Torahs. Well, that's Torah A, because where is any of that written? What are the statutes he gave Abraham? Nobody can tell you.
Because it's in the head.
It's oral. What are the statutes? What are the commandments? What laws did he have? Did he just have the 7? Well, why does it say commandments? No, he had the entirety of Torah. He had the entirety of Talmud, all the Mishnah. He knew everything when God gave it to him. He talked to the angels. You think he didn't know the whole Torah? He talked to Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael in one day. And even Lot was like, oh yeah, those are angels. So Lot, everybody knew. Nobody doesn't know. But as it, let the Peshat story be he was a guy and did this. All right? But there's much more to it than what meets the eye. So when they get, David is the navel, and Solomon was the culmination of Yesod, and after the second temple, now we're into the legs of Adam, in the body of timeline. We're into his legs. So the 2,000 years of leg is why the backside is so strong. You didn't have the Jesus conundrum problem and all that stuff before 2,000 years ago, because we hadn't hit that coordinate in the body of Adam. Now that whole Yeshu Sar Hapanim, that whole backside, now it's hit its coordinate. Now it can materialize and come forth, and now everybody has to deal with it. So that's why we're having to deal with it. So people that get stuck in it are stuck on that side. And Job 14:4 says, nothing good you can't get anything good out of something bad. This is why the Jews do not try to proselytize Christians, because you can't get blood out of a turnip, man. So the Torah is amazing, and the sages are amazing. See y'all next week.
Let's see.